Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of The Awesome C.O.D.Y. As usual, I'm your host, C.O.D.Y, and today we are continuing March's theme of awesome dystopian space movies. I think, sort of kind of name, awesome space movies. I'm not too sure what I called it. So today we're talking about a really brutal movie from 2018 called High Life. The premise of this is pretty fucking nuts. A lot of sciencey stuff in it, a lot of fucked upness in it. It's a film by a French film director named Claire Denis, or Denis. I'm not too sure how to say it. I probably could look it up. I'm not gonna. So the short pitch is a group of criminals who are sent on a mission to travel on a spaceship toward a black hole while taking part in scientific experiments. So that's the short description of it. We gonna get into the longer one. This won't be too long because the movie's not that long. But I'll go over who's in it first because there's a couple. Well, there's maybe three notable names. I picked the main four people that are in it, but main lead in the movie is Robert Pattinson. We all know Robert Pattinson from the Harry Potter movie because he was in one of them, right? He's in two. Actually, I think he's in like two of them. Yeah, he's in two of them. Well, he makes appearances later on, but he's really not. Yeah, he's not really in them. Does he make appearances in later ones? No, he's just in those two. I know he's brought up later though. Anyways, he played Cedric Diggory, the unfortunate soul who perished. But he's also been in, more recently, Lighthouse, The King on Netflix. I don't actually know what Waiting for the Barbarians is, but I saw that on the list and I was like, well, whatever. But he was in the Twilight movies. Water for Elephants was a big one, I think. I'm not even too sure. Good Time, Lost City of Z, which I really enjoyed, especially him. I didn't even know it was him at first. I think it's really all the ones I know of that are really big. And apparently some television stuff I've never heard of. But yeah, and of course he's playing Batman in the new Batman movie. The Batman plays, Bruce Wayne / Batman. He has something. Oh, he's in actually the new Christopher Nolan movie too, Tenet, which is pretty cool. And something called The Devil All the Time, which I don't know what that is, but it's got a lot of people in it of well-known note, based on a psychological thriller novel of the same name by Donald Ray Pollock. I don't know. But anyways, we're not here to talk about that. Next up, most notably, Juliette Binoche. She has been in a lot of things, a lot of French movies. I think they're French movies. I think so. Or Italian? I think it's French movies she's in. I can't remember. I've never seen like any of the French movies. But I know her, let's see. She's been in a few things I've seen. I guess the most. I don't know how to use a computer. Wow, that was weird. Sorry about that. My computer. Not my computer. I don't blame my computer. That was me. I clicked on the wrong button. Shit just went everywhere. My notes just went, woo, bye-bye. But she was in the first Godzilla movie. That doesn't really help much. She was in Ghost in the Shell. She's been in a lot of stuff. When you see her, you're like, oh, I know her from things. And she's been in things, a lot of things. Anyhow. Then we have Andre 3000, or as he's billed in the movie, Andre Benjamin, who, of course, is famous for being in Outkast, the hip-hop rap group of fame from Atlanta, Georgia. And then, he's done a few things. in the few things he's been in, he's actually been really good. That were supposed to be good. I mean, but he was in what was that one? Well, he was in the basketball movie, or I'd say basketball movie, comedy basketball movie, Semi Pro. He was in Revolver, which is he was really good in. Be Cool. I don't like the movie Four Brothers, but he was in it. Fracture, he was really good in that one. Yeah, that's about it. That's and plus his music is stupendous. Solo stuff as well as the stuff with Outkast as well. And then last but not least is a Portuguese actress. All right, she's British. I looked at the wrong one earlier. She's British. I thought I knew her from something more. I mean, after I read her stuff, I realized what I knew her from, but it's not what I knew her. It's not what who I thought she was. But it does make sense she's in this movie. So she was in Suspiria, the remake that just came out 2 years ago. Not what I thought I knew her from. And again, she's not who I thought she was, so I was completely incorrect of what I've seen her in. But I've seen her in a couple things. Nymphomaniac, the 2-part movie, she was in one of the segments. Again, I didn't recognize her from that, but she's in that. She was in Everest, the Mount Tan movie that came out 5 years ago. Yeah, with Josh Brolin and a bunch of other fucking people in it. She was in A Cure for Wellness. She was in Survivalist, which I thought I knew, but I didn't. I thought it was something else. Because again, I'm messing up on who she actually is. A Cure for Wellness was a really, we'll say, strange psychological horror movie. Again, she was in it. I did not recognize her from it because I'm an idiot. But you should watch A Cure for Wellness. One day I'll do a podcast on that because the movie's a fucking trip, and it has a ton of people in it who are all amazing, and the movie is really good. But wow, it's fucking strange. Much like the movie I'm about to talk about. So this one's pretty straightforward. There's no craziness in it when it comes to like supernatural stuff there's no supernatural stuff, but the end is left open to something, interpretation or whatever. I'm not too sure, but basically premise, again, a group of criminals who are sent on a mission to travel on a spaceship towards a black hole while taking part in scientific experiments. So, basically, this group of criminals serving death sentences, so essentially they're never going to get out of jail, are sent on a mission on this spaceship to travel to a black hole to extract energy for an alternate energy alternative energy source for Earth. Plus, each of the prisoners is a guinea pig for Dr. Dibbs, who's technically also an inmate, criminal on there. Everyone on the ship, it's a suicide mission essentially. They don't think it's gonna survive. Anyone's gonna survive, and as far as we know, they sent at least 9 different ships like this out, and I'll get to why we know that in a minute. The crew is fairly small. You have 4 male passengers and 4 female passengers, right? No, there's 5. Well, the doctor is one of them. So there's 4, not the doctor, and 4 dudes, right? Yeah. Yep, 4. And they have this weird checks and balances thing that isn't really talked about in the movie per se, but is demonstrated in the fact that when there's an alarm that goes off, I'm guessing it's every 24 hours because the way the monitor print says at the end is you have to the captain has to go to a terminal, put his finger in a little receptacle thing that reads a chip that's in his finger. Then he has to record a report that's then submitted, and as long as it's submitted within that time, they get another 24 hours of life support. Otherwise, life support turns off. So that's something that you don't really know about fully. They don't technically explain it. It's just shown in the movie. So I didn't infer it. They kind of show it to you a couple times and you kind of realize what it is. Anyhow, so everyone on board, like I said, is a death row criminal. And they are getting essentially a pardon. Not really a pardon. They're not going to go free. They're going to die on this ship. And they know that. They're going to live their life out on the ship. But they kind of get to save face with their family, like do something for the greater good, because they are essentially helping mankind in the future. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But anyway, so the whole movie bases around the plot of it is Robert Pattinson's Monty is raising alone on this now devoid of humans except for him and his now daughter. He's raising her on there by himself, trying to survive. And you wonder why is this dude alone with a baby? How's that possible? Let me explain. So, the Dr. Dibbs, who's doing these experiments on them, is kind of, I don't know if she's supposed to be doing this test, but she's trying to get the women pregnant and have a baby in space. Not in space, but like while they're in space in their spaceship. It's never explained why. She's just trying to do it. So there's one of the inmates dies of complications of childbirth. The baby actually dies as well. And then you find out that Robert Pattinson's Monty is being celibate. He doesn't want to be part of it. So he hasn't been donating his sperm for some kind of meds that she gives out, some kind of treat that's supposed to be worthwhile, I guess. And then the doctor's making weird passes at him, like sexually. And then the doctor goes down into what's referred to as the box, which is a multifaceted masturbation room where she gets on a sex chair, and I'm not too sure what she does in there. I just know she has a real good time. And then one of the other inmates goes in there, and he's a creep too. So I mean, oof. Actually, everyone except for Monty and of the guys. So the captain's pretty creepy. What's the other guy's name? The dude the rapey dude, Ettore or something like that. He's a fucking creeper who just has no qualms of masturbating in front of people, or rape apparently. Anyhow, so even Monty doesn't do that. He abstains completely from it. The movie's told from a certain time, and can't say present because I'll get to why in a minute. It's told from Monty's perspective. He's giving you the narration at certain points, but it's telling flashbacks of what happened to the other prisoners, what happened to the ship, how the baby came about, and a little bit of how he was brought there. you find out that basically he was convicted for killing his best friend who murdered his dog. And some talk around other stuff. But anyways, so he murders her, goes to prison, gets sentenced to death, gets part of the crew. Other inmates, you don't really know what they've did except for the doctor who killed her newborn child, who I think she cut out of her own womb, and murdered her husband. I don't really think they go into the other crimes too much in it. But as part of this, Dr. Dibbs goes kind of crazy one day and sedates everybody by putting a chemical in the water, which I think actually goes in the air. I'm not too sure how it works. They don't really explain it, but she's putting it what looks to be an oxygenation machine, which is converting water-ish substance into air, I guess. Again, it has science in it, but it's not really explained. But she sedates them, and one night she literally rapes Monty to get his sperm, and then drips it out in her hand, goes in, gets this little fucking thing, and injects the sperm into it, and then goes and fertilizes Boise, played by Mia Goth, and then the baby actually is born. Boise does not like it because she was refusing to get pregnant, and she was doing something earlier in the movie to make it so she wasn't pregnant. Like she was fucking up her shit or something. I'm not too sure. They didn't really explain it again. I'm not a doctor by any means, especially not a lady doctor. So I don't know what she was doing, but there was a big old injector thing and a beaker of something, lots of paper towels, and she was doing it in secret, and the other girls were helping. I don't know. It's fucking strange. Anyhow, there's a really disturbing scene of her lactating, being very upset about it. Very gross. Then everyone's seems to be okay. The doctor's doting over this new baby. And of course, she's the only one that knows exactly who the father is because of all the sperm samples that they would have used would have been from the other inmates and not Monty. Turned out it's Monty. And then they get close enough. They're supposed to send a shuttle out with one of the criminals, the inmates, to test the black hole something or other. I can't remember what they said it was. Basically, she has a little shuttle. She has to fly in there and hopefully not die. Well, things go bad. Boise attacks and kills Nansen, who's supposed to be the pilot of the shuttle, because she was a pilot or was trained as a pilot. Again, not too sure because they skip over some of that. And when she's in there, she hits a molecular cloud inside the rim of the black hole, causing her to go off course and dying. She basically, I didn't know this was a thing. I knew what this was. I didn't know the thing that happened in space. But again, I'm not a space doctor, so I'm not too sure. But a thing called spaghettification, I think is how you pronounce it. It's where literally your cells are stretched out like spaghetti, and the human body apparently can't handle that, and you explode. And that's what happened to Boise inside the shuttle, and it's looks and sounded pretty fucking painful. Which I can imagine being spaghettified probably isn't the most pleasurable way to die. Might actually be one of the worst ways to die because it looked pretty bad. It did end pretty quickly, but it looked pretty excruciating right up to the time she exploded inside of her spacesuit and was just red goo. So, gravity, that thing's a fucking killer. Gravity's a bitch, you know what I mean? So then you find out that Nansen was killed. They go about their business when shit starts going even more awry with the leftover inmates, because now there's only after the rape of Boise by that one dude who gets murdered in the face by one of the other girls, I believe named Mink, then Boise murders Nansen to take the shuttle. She dies in the shuttle. The captain, the guy dubbed the captain, who's just another inmate, he dies of leukemia. Well, he doesn't die. He's dying of leukemia. And then Dr. Dibbs euthanizes him in a very sweet manner. He was suffering, so she cuddled with him and injected something in to kill him. So then you're just down to Monty, Dr. Dibbs, Mink, and Cherney. Cherney does not like what's happening in just in general. He can't stand the I guess space madness or cabin fever or whatever you want to call it, and commits suicide and asks to be buried in the garden that they've been growing vegetables and stuff in. And then so Monty does that. And when what part is it? I'm trying to remember. She is that. Because Mink goes after the doctor for some reason. Don't remember what it is now. Boise kills Nansen to take the shuttle. She gets all dead and spaghettified. Oh, that's right. Because Mink then blames Dibbs for impregnating Boise, who didn't want to. Goes after her, hits her with the same shovel that was used to kill Nansen. Does enough damage where the doctor's like, I can't fucking live. I'm going to throw myself out of space door. And so she does that, but right before she does, she informs Monty that the child is hers, or his, and obviously Boise's because it came out of Boise, and then just like ejects herself out into space and dies of again, I'm going to probably say a pretty terrible, not so great death. But again, I don't know what's wrong with her because like she get hit in the head and the shoulder, and like she didn't look so great. Like maybe she got some like swelling in her brain. She knew it or something. She's like, I was gonna pitch myself outside in the cold dark and end this quicker than dying of a brain hemorrhage or something, because I'm pretty sure that probably sucks. So then Monty's like, well, fuck, I'm left with this kid. I'm gonna call you Willow. And then he's raising her. You see him developing or making baby food out of vegetables and feeding her. Obviously not taking care of himself very well. Then it jumps in time, and Willow's a teenager. They're still getting closer and closer to the black hole, and they come upon another ship, number 9. The ship, I'm not too sure if they initiated it or the ship automatically does it, but they dock together. He crosses over into it with a space suit on and sees it's full of dogs, feral dogs by the looks of it, by the way, who've been surviving by mating and eating each other, which is fairly close to what the humans were doing, so it's not too far fucking of a stretch. And he's like, well, I really want to take this puppy because it's cute, and I think Willow would like it, but I don't know what kind of crazy diseases these dogs have from eating each other and being alone on the spaceship for years. And there's dead dogs over the ground, and there's empty kennels, no signs of humans, so I don't know how the fuck that happened. If there was even humans on there, or these dogs were just sent into space to be fucking space dogs or something, I don't know. So he skedaddles before getting eaten. He has an argument with Willow about keeping a dog. He's like, I can't really guarantee that we wouldn't get sick and it would kill us. So she's upset, and then she gets over it, but whatever. Then they get a notification saying, hey, you're kind of in line for the next use of a shuttle. And Willow's like, let's do it. I have a feeling that we can survive the traveling into said black hole. So Monty's like, well, fuck it. I guess we'll just take it and we'll journey into the fucking black hole, or through the black hole. So they get in there, and this is where it gets a little figure out on your own if they survive or whatever. They're going, and this yellow light source grows and grows, eventually enveloping the shuttle and them, and then you see him standing there without his helmet on, saying Willow, and you hear say, I'm here, and he smiles, and it just goes to fucking black. And that's it. So I don't know how it ends. I mean, I know how it ends, I just don't know what it means. Other than maybe they survived and, like, live in Yellowland. I'm not too sure. But they didn't get spaghettified, or whatever you fucking say. Which maybe not. Didn't seem that way. Which, by the way, looks fucking terrible. Look up a clip. I'm sure you can watch a clip of Boise, spelled Boyse, being spaghettified in High Life. It's unpleasant, and I'm going to ask Joe about it because he's a space doctor guy, and he probably knows what spaghettification is. Sounds and looked fucking terrible. Anyhow, that's it for High Life in this week's episode. Very enjoyable movie. It's very dark, very brutal. Very much like Moon. Moon had a happier ending, I think. Because again, I'm not too sure if this was a happy movie or not, but a very enjoyable movie, very artsy in the way it's made. But yeah, that's it for this week's episode, everybody. Tune in next week when I will be talking about Ad Astra, another artsy-ish space movie about terrible things that happen. I can't wait to rewatch it again and talk about it next week. So, like usual, that's the end of this episode of The Awesome with Cody. I have been Cody, and as usual, like I say at the end of all these episodes, let's be awesome.